What now? We're good. We're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please stand for a flag salute and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Dr. Baldino,
Here.
Mr. Cannon,
Here.
Mrs. Donahue,
Here.
Mr. Elling,
Present.
Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Knopf,
Here.
Ms. Lynch,
Here.
Mr. Scaff,
Here.
and Mrs. Smith.
Here.
9 members present.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm gonna move a few things around on the agenda just to help the kids out a little bit. If we can do the student government reports prior to the presentations, that way they can leave. Okay. Martin, you're up.
So believe it or not, I'm actually not the only member of our student government. I have someone else with us today.
I'm Keta Bisman, president of band club, secretary of class of 2026, and a member of student government.
So for this month, we just have a lot of events to talk about because it's kind of been slow for student government last month. So this week on Monday, the Bucktail student government visited the state capitol in Harrisburg. We visited the State Museum of Pennsylvania first. We learned about some of Pennsylvania's political, economic, social, and natural history. After that, we went on a scheduled 30-minute tour of the Capitol. The week prior to this trip, we received a communication from Stephanie Borowitz's office that she would be meeting us for our tour and that she wanted to have us recognized in front of the House because they were going into session almost immediately after our tour ended. Unfortunately, when we got there, we found out that Representative Borowitz was sick that day, so we couldn't meet her. But we met one of her assistants, and after our tour, we were brought to the House gallery, and we were able to see the House go into session, and then we were recognized at the beginning of their session. Although due to sports, we were only able to bring 8 members. I think the 8 that did go agree that it was a pretty great trip and that we were able to learn a lot. Yesterday, the Bucktail Environmental Club got to tag along with the Pennsylvania Game Commission to help stock fish in 6 locations along the left branch of the Young Women's Creek. Originally, the field trip was scheduled for April 15th, but due to a rather inconvenient thunderstorm, teaming up with a very ill-mannered tree, school was canceled for us that day. That's our previous events. Before we move on to our upcoming events, I'd like to recognize Mrs. Sykes. She was just recognized last night after she was inducted into the Alumni Hall of Fame for the Keystone Central Foundation. She was a 1969 graduate of Bucktail and was a special education teacher at Nova Elementary for over 33 years before retiring in 2006. And even today, she's involved in so many different things. We always see her substituting at the high school, and she's just such a great aspect of our community, and she is truly a rock star in our community. And then for the rest of this, I'll give it to Keta.
So earlier today, the Bucktail Concert Band started off our performance season at the Bucktail Medical Center for our remaining nursing home residents, as well as the hardworking staff at the hospital. Although it was windy and we had to chase some music around, the performance went well. Next week on Thursday, the band will once again travel to perform our concert arrangement for the residents of the Eagle Ridge Personal Care Home, as well as the residents of Haven Place. Later this month, music will once again fill the air of the Bucktail Gymnasium when we will host our annual spring concert on May 30th. This will feature performances from middle high school band, as well as an elementary band. We will be playing pieces such as El Taco Picante and the Avengers theme, and a marimba solo performed by me. Following the concert on Friday, May 31st, the band club will be getting out into the community to volunteer time and effort towards improving our community. Details are to be ironed out as the day gets closer, but the day could include activities such as trash pickups or hours at our local service organization. Later this month, after testing is over, the Environmental Club will be working with the CNR and Angela Polito, Mr. Polito's sister, to do tree planting and invasive species removal around the forestry building. After the invasives are removed, we'll be helping plant native plant species around the building. Also, later this month, we are looking at doing a trash pickup along Stony Run, possibly followed by a picnic for the Environmental Club. Bucktail's Environmental Club also traveled to compete in the Envirothon on April 15th. Bucktail's teams competed well against the other teams present. Also, I have had this ongoing project for 2 years to donate a Blue Martin birdhouse to Bucktail. I started building this birdhouse in 2022 and finally got it installed in Bucktail's courtyard to replace an older, worn-down birdhouse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, next, we're gonna have Central Mountain Middle School.
Good evening. My name is,
Could you pull the mic down just a little bit? Thank you.
good evening. My name is Caroline Sedaris, and I am the fifth grade student government representative at CMMS. There have not been many updates in the last months due to the middle school's hard work in preparing for and completing the state assessment. Eighth grade finished up science PSSAs today, while the rest of the building wrapped up testing on Tuesday. Makeups will continue to happen until completed. The snack cart is up and running, but participation is not what we expected. We will continue to advertise to the student body and provide them with opportunities for additional snacks. I'm excited to share some significant improvements in behavior at the middle school. So far, in the 2023-2024 school year, referrals are down 20%. This achievement reflects the high expectations presented to students at the middle school. Students have been empowered and have been rising to the occasion by making positive choices and decreasing write-up referrals. We are excited to continue to collaborate with administration on the standard of high expectations and maintain positive growth in the middle school. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Central Mountain High School.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. My name is Claire Bowman. I'm the student board representative for Central Mountain High School Student Government. Currently at Central Mountain High School, many students are enjoying end-of-year activities such as all-night volleyball and our Wellness Day, where students get to choose activities that are good for their mental health and to have a break. Students are also preparing for senior ball on May 18th, prom on May 10th, jazz and middle school band concert on May 7th, the orchestra concert on May 8th, band concert on May 14th, choir concert on May 15th. All concerts are at 7 p.m. and free to attend. The band, orchestra, and choir students would love if you came to support them. The last few events that many students are preparing for revolve around the class of 2024. Baccalaureate will take place on Sunday, June 2nd, and graduation on June 4th. We are so proud of all the graduating seniors, their current accomplishments, and what they will go on to do in the future. Please come support our seniors at their last few events of their high school careers. Student government officers are continuing to meet weekly with administration to talk about different topics and issues we are facing. These meetings have led to good conversations and will lead to good outcomes. We are very thankful we got to meet with Dr. Redmond a few weeks ago to discuss issues student government wants to tackle and plans for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Claire.
Okay, well, we're gonna go back to Central Mountain High School. CTC is gonna do a presentation now.
Good evening. First thing I'd like to do is just talk about how proud I am of not only these students, but the students who put the video together tonight. I think probably one of the greatest aspects about this entire video is from start to finish, production, editing, music, every single thing was done by our students. Our teachers were there helping guide them, but I think what was very impressive is they did it all. So I'm not even going to introduce them. I want them to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about it, and hopefully you enjoy the video.
Hi, my name is Lee Sagan. I'm a senior at Central Mountain High School. This video was made through the media class at Central Mountain. It worked on it the past few weeks, and it's really just a video showing and demonstrating all the ways that Central Mountain gives students the chance to succeed in a bunch of different opportunities. So, let's look at that.
My name is Alex Acuna. I'm also a senior, and we're both in Mrs. Temple's media class, and we were in charge of editing and producing this video. We had a lot of participants that actually we interviewed the other seniors that you will see in the video. We're just very excited to show you what we've been working on for the past month. So thank you.
My name is Tanner Doversbeck.
I'm Greg Stuber.
And I'm Annalise Mann.
My name is Madison Barker.
Hi, my name is Alex Acuna.
My name is Reed Loophole.
Hi, my name is Maya Crown.
My name is Ben Temple.
Hi, my name is Don Longworth. In 9th grade, Central Mountain offered me the ASVAB testing, so I decided to take it. Shortly after I took the test, a recruiter contacted me. I took my ASVAB again in January of 2024, and I am officially signed in, was able to do what I wanted to do in the military, which is pursue being a SEAL, and I had the test scores for that. So ship date is July 11th of 2024 in Indiana.
My name is Madison Barker, and I'm currently a senior in auto mechanics. When I first started the class during my freshman year, I was the only female, and knowing that being a non-traditional student was very nerve-wracking. But it helped me so much, learning how to just get over those fears and learning how to work with others, being able to ask questions and know that you're getting the job done right the first time. As a freshman, I would describe myself as very shy. However, many of my experiences here at CMHS have helped me break my shell a little bit, and part of that was being part of the business club since 10th grade, and this year I actually had the opportunity to become the vice president. What I would say to other students is coming into the school is join the activities. Don't be afraid to join any classes that may scare you. Do it even if it does scare you. Just put yourself out there and try new things. It will surprise you what happens.
My name is Ben Temple, and I'll be majoring in business management at Lock Haven University. When I was in 9th grade, I took several Lackawanna College business classes. These helped me earn college credits. Over the next 2 years, I took several more Lackawanna College business classes and Penn College dual enrollment classes. This year, I took all but one of my classes at Lock Haven University. I was able to work with an academic advisor who helped me choose my classes. By the time I graduate from high school, I will have 39 college credits. I would suggest that students look into it and take advantage of the dual enrollment opportunities.
Not only does it allow you to save money, but it also allows you to get scholarships to help pay for these classes through the high school.
I'm Greg Stuber.
And I'm Annalise Mann.
I've been going to Central Mountain for 4 years now. Music has always been a big part of my high school days. I've been performing in at least one ensemble every year, and that's affected me in many ways, as I'm now going to college to be a music education major playing the bass.
I started saxophone in my freshman year of high school, and I was immediately welcomed by a bunch of people, and I found like my place. And because of that, I'm also going to college for music education. I'm going to find other people and new relationships in music.
Hi, my name is Alex Acuna. I'm a senior in Central Mountain High School. Unlike most of the students in my class, I didn't grow up in the Keystone School District. I moved here from Long Island, New York just last year as a junior. Immediately, I was welcomed and introduced to many opportunities I've never had in any of the other schools. Here in Central Mountain, I was able to take dual enrollment courses and take the right classes to pursue a nursing career with the help of my counselors and teachers. I became an officer for community service-based clubs and activities such as Key Club, Freshman Academy, National Honor Society, and the Keystone Scholars Program. I was a part of a lot of school activities such as the track team, homecoming parades, senior ball committee, and football managing, as well as PIAA junior track officiating. With the help of Mrs. Moore and taking the proper classes like anatomy and physiology, I was able to contact LHU nursing program, took my SATs and my nursing exams, and was granted a full ride scholarship and became part of the Honors College program. Even though my time here at Central Mountain was short, I felt like I fit right into the community and accomplished a lot. I can proudly say that I have made lifelong friends and made every day of my senior year count. Thanks to Central Mountain High School, I know that I can achieve a lot when I graduate.
Hi, my name is Reed Leupold. I'm a student here at Central Mountain High School, and with the experience I've gained here with Mrs. Kaiser's art classes as well as Mr. Cooper's science classes, I'm pursuing a career in science and art. So I actually make art on the side and I get money that goes towards my college fund in the college I'm attending. It's Colorado State University, and in Colorado State I will be doing chemistry, which thanks to Mr. Cooper and his wonderful classes, I now have that opportunity to do so. And you know, with the knowledge I've gained at this school, I am able to pursue my dreams as well as make some money to fund them and actually enjoy what I do in my day-to-day life, which, I mean, thanks to the people here, they've given me that chance. So, I mean, it's a really great place to be. I highly recommend being in these classes and, you know, doing anything in your power to kind of move towards your future.
Hello, my name is Maya Krall, and I'm majoring in broadcast journalism and telecommunications at Penn State University. In my sophomore year, I took a journalism course, but in my junior year, I finally found my passion with media. In the course, I got a hands-on approach to filmmaking and video editing, which I found very immersive and helped me break out of my shell. I'm a part of many different clubs, but one I'm very proud to be a part of is the Wildcat Way. Wildcat Way is a club that helps promote good behavior and school spirit throughout Central Mountain. We have done multiple activities throughout the year, such as watch parties, raffles, a fall festival, and we are rounding out the year with a wellness day. One final thing I'd like to touch on is my time as Miss Central Mountain. In the fall of 2023, I competed in Bucktail's Flaming Foliage Festival, and I had a great time. Without being so involved in Central Mountain, I probably wouldn't have been considered. One piece of advice I would give to any student at Central Mountain High School would be to just say yes. We have so many opportunities, so don't waste them because they can help set you ahead for the future.
Hi, my name is Tanner Doverspike. Last year in my junior year, I got involved in the CTE program here at Central Mountain. Following that, I was opened up to a lot of opportunities with the help of Mrs. Killinger. I was able to complete an internship with Davis Real Estate last year, and this year I was able to start co-op with SWC Realty. Co-op allows you to have a shortened school day. For me, I was allowed to come in for one block and then go to my job afterwards. My co-op experience has led me to be able to be a licensed realtor even before I graduate high school. I encourage you to get involved within the CTE program here at Central Mountain.
Thank you. Next up, we have a presentation from Liberty Kirk Construction Update.
Thank you, good sir. Hello, everybody. Thanks, Rob. Okay, we're gonna go through a construction report update for Liberty Curtain Elementary School, and this is going to be pretty short this evening, really, just because we've just gotten into construction. But maybe the stronger takeaway is what we've discussed with the administration is roughly every, whether it's quarterly, every 4 months, that we would just do an update report to keep everybody apprised of the project. The report will expand from what has been handed out this evening and on the screen, really because we are just in those first 4 months of the project. So moving to the second page for the table of contents, typically we'll have a summary. We'll have project photos with just a short overview of what's occurring in each of those. We'll have a payment log of where we are currently with the contractors. And then we also typically have a change order log for the project. Moving to the next page for the summary report. So notice of proceeds were issued the end of December. We are currently on schedule for the project for an August 11th, 2025 completion. So if any extensions or requests are processed with contractors, we would be tracking those and presenting those to you as they would occur, but nothing has been presented at this time. You can just see the contract duration of 577 days. We're 134 days in, so we're roughly about a little over 23% through the project. What you will also see in this report repeatedly is then just the budget status, both with the original contract amount, process change orders, the current contract amount, and then total billed to date. So we're 23% through the project time-wise. We're 17% through the project as far as billing, and that's typical because really the first 2 months there was very limited billings because we were more going through paperwork with contractors for all the materials that they would be using with us for those first 2 months, and now we're really about 3 months into construction at this point. Okay, so some brief overview of where we're at. Stormwater basins for the site have been installed. Foundations for 90% of the building are in the ground at this time. Temporary parking is installed. Concrete block walls are going up in the classroom wings at this time. We've roughly had about 18 to 20 masons on site. So even since these photos have been taken in the last week or two, essentially many of the walls in the 2 classroom wings are up at this time. Structural steel framing for the building, as well as the main lobby and the core of the building, has arrived on site and is beginning installation. Concrete floor slabs are being installed in the classroom wings, and underground utilities are nearing completion, which is allowing then the concrete floors to be installed. And final finishes were reviewed with the administration, just validating what had been completed during design in the last week with the final materials that the contractors submitted. And then all submittals, so again, I mentioned earlier, we did paperwork for the first 2 months. We're about 85% through that at this time for everything that the contractor is going to be using. Next page for photos. So just a quick overview, and probably the takeaway from these photos that you can see is virtually the entire site has been taken up by the new building. You got, trying to fit 2 schools on the campus at the same time is what we talked about during construction or design. It's going to be a lot, and there's both accommodating the contractors, but really making sure that we don't negatively affect the education of the students during the whole construction project. You also see in those photos, it's very clear the sort of the footprint of the new building. The yellow that you see is the water barrier that goes down once all the utilities are in, and then before the concrete slabs are poured. You also see the stormwater retention pond has been installed, so we meet all of erosion and sediment requirements for stormwater throughout construction, so that nothing leaves the site. If you have heavy rains, things of that nature. You'll also see a photo at the bottom right for underground plumbing installation that was going on before the slabs occurred. Next page, just a classroom wing ready for concrete slabs with the yellow again in the upper left. We went a lot of back and forth with contractors, just verifying that the brick samples matched what was designed during the project. Bottom left is electrical conduits being installed before the slabs occurred. And then the final photo is concrete block walls going up. Actually, that photo is specifically from the kindergarten first grade wing of the building. And then since even this time with 18, I'm going to mention again, 18 to 20 masons on site, virtually most of the walls for the classroom wings are up even since these photos have been taken. Okay. Next page. So more than likely those photos will expand in the future. There's not a lot to see right now because really we're just coming out of the ground. Eventually we'll have photos sort of each sector of the building. And what we also like to do a lot of times is show a photo from the same location from the past report and then show the progress so that you can sort of get a quick comparison. The next page is the payment log that we'll be tracking throughout the project. This has the original contracts, net change orders that have been processed, contractors' payments to date, retainage. Early in the project, we hold 10% on all contractors. At halfway through the project, if they are performing well, that there's a contract requirement that allows them to go down to 5%. If they are not performing well, we can keep it at 10%. The goal there is to make sure that the contractors are performing throughout the project and that you as the district do not get in a situation where you've overpaid work that may not have been installed correctly. And then so ultimately at the far right, what you're seeing is balance to finish the retainage and then percentages complete by contractor. So roughly we're about what I mentioned earlier, about 17.5% through the project. Okay. Some of the other things that we track on this sheet is just number of calendar days. So these are sort of the calculations that was on that summary page before. We're 23% through the project. RFIs, our request for information from contractors. We're roughly processing about 2 per week from contractors. So the questions have been light. There hasn't been a lot of back and forth. The documents have been clear to them. And then again, we're tracking notice to proceed, how much contingency has been used to date, 0.06%. So it's a very low percentage. We've actually only processed 2 change orders and we have 1 that's in review at this time. And total, what you'll also notice at the bottom right is the total contingency for the project is $542,000. So that was in your Act 34 budget for the project. By Department of Education, we're required to have a contingency fund for the project. I was sort of preparing for this evening. National average is 5 to 10% contingency. We actually typically for schools are much less. We're typically budgeting for 2 to 5% contingency. Normally is what we see in a project. At this time, we're substantially under that. Again, whether you go by time at 23% or billing from contractors 17%, we've only utilized 2.3% of the contingency fund. So we're substantially under that right now. Knock on wood. Hopefully we keep that number low. Okay. So the next series of slides, we're not really going to go through this change order log. This is more of just the format. And frankly, because we've just got started with change orders, this isn't even fully set up. But this is more just to show you the format. Typically, the color coding, if a change order has been fully processed, and even some of these have just changed recently, but once everything's fully processed, it will go to green. Yellow it means that the board has approved it. And then the maroon color is it's under review at this time. So really, there's been 2 change orders processed to date for roughly about $12,000. And we're looking at 1 related to a drain in the fire pump room for about just over $1,000, just $1,100. Okay. So with that, I tried to go through that quickly just to sort of talk about the format and really open it up to questions that any or all of you might have.
Questions for Joe? Questions? Elizabeth has a question. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Thank you. We appreciate this. And I've requested this multiple times. And I'm just one board member. What can we do to lower the cost? Is that, or, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Reuse furniture, change the flooring before it's too late. So the shell is one thing, the infrastructure is one thing, but is there anything there that can lower the cost for, people call them the soft costs, I'm assuming? Is there anything out there in the future? And if yes, please work with administration, chair of facilities, so we can see our options as a board. I would appreciate that, but again, I'm just one board member. But I'd really like to see if there's any way we can save money.
I guess to answer that, materials for the building have been ordered and processed. Most of them are actually already have been warehoused or are on site currently. So really, I mean, I think optimally, we tried to reduce the cost as much as we could for the project. FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. I mean, that is something that the district controls, but that will not occur till halfway through the project, that the district will start purchasing the equipment. Maybe the one thing that can control is just the change orders that are in the project. We, again, knock on wood, we're doing well right now, but we might run into some things. But I think we are readily trying to track everything possible to keep costs down at this time.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. Next, the superintendent's report.
All right, I just have a few things. First of all, I want to mention that the NOCTI testing results are in. These are the tests that our CTC students take as seniors, and 91% or 112 of our 120 students of our test takers scored at the competent or advanced level. So I want to give a big shout out to the students and their teachers, to Kurt and Daisy and their team for all the hard work and commitment to ensure that our students are reaching mastery of the career-oriented knowledges and skills. While we're talking about great things, Tyler Barth of Robb Elementary and his staffalty, they will be hosting the Secretary of Education, Dr. Moomin, for a visit to the school next Thursday. So we're planning on him visiting Robb Elementary as well as a trip to our CTC program. So if there are a couple of board members who would like to attend, we're figuring on probably 11 o'clock-ish on Thursday of next week. And we'll start at Robb Elementary and then come up to CTC. While we're talking about Robb Elementary, they're going to be presenting some information at the Innovate and Integrate MTSS and PBIS Advanced Implementation Forum coming up in November. So they submitted a proposal to this conference, and they're going to be traveling to the Hershey Lodge and Convention Center in November to talk about the great work that they're doing at Robb Elementary. The title of the presentation is Seen, Heard, and Loved: School, Parent, and Community Collaboration in a Three-Tiered System of Support. So again, nice job, Tyler and your team. Tuesday was busy of this week. As you heard from Martin earlier, we had our Hall of Fame induction for our Keystone Central Foundation. I was invited to MC for it, so it was kind of fun. I got to meet a whole bunch of people that I hadn't met before, which was also nice. And it was just amazing to listen to the fantastic experiences that these folks, these inductees, had over the course of their lives, and a lot of it launched, well, all of it launched here, right here in the district. So because of the good work that has been going on here in the district for years and years and years, we see some pretty amazing impacts on folks in their lives as they after they graduate from us. But at the beginning of the day, I was out in Harrisburg, the annual Day on the Hill, where educators, superintendents, and IU folks go down and talk to the legislators about things that are going on in schools, and in particular, the budget discussions that are happening in the legislature right now. So in those discussions of school funding, I showed them a document showing how much we spend on Cyber Academy, and that of the 10 cyber academies that are cyber schools that our students go to, cyber charters that is, of the 10 that we send our students to, 8 of them are in comprehensive school improvement. So which means their scores and the work that they're doing means the state needs to pay extra attention to them because they're not performing up to the standards. So 8 of the 10 of them are performing below standards in comprehensive school improvement. And in addition to that, the cost per student for the cyber charter schools is far above what it costs for us to be able to serve students at our virtual school here. So we know that our virtual school both costs less and does a far better job of preparing our students for their lives after they finish with the school here, or in transition phases as they're going hopefully back into our brick and mortar program. Finally, we're in testing season. As you heard from our students, PSSA testing is winding down and Keystone's testing is starting up. So things are very busy, as they normally are in the spring. I'm amazed that we're already into May, and I'm going to blink and we're going to be into June. So just so that you know, before our June meeting, we will have gone through graduation and the school year will have ended. So things are happening very fast, as they often do in the spring. So put on your calendars if you don't have it already. June 3rd is the Bucktail graduation. June 4th is the Central Mountain graduation. 4th. I'm sorry, 4th.
For the 6th.
4th.
Okay.
And that's all I have for the moment.
Okay, well, thank you. Next, hearing of visitors, we have one.
Bill has a question.
I'm sorry, Bill.
Are these the 10 cyber charter schools that we have kids going to all of them, that I understand it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are they nonprofit things or profit?
I don't know that I can speak to that with absolute certainty, so I can get back to you on that.
All right. I only bring it up because in reading something that I was reading for today, I looked up that it's all, at least the regular charter schools are all supposed to be nonprofit. So I thought somebody had mentioned that some of them were for profit. Well, how does that work? If you know, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Nothing else? All right. Suzanne? Coming up and remind you, we have a 4-minute policy.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Rainey, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Liberty Curtin Elementary School. I'm passionate about teaching little ones, and I get excited meeting them each February during kindergarten registration. I get excited sending them postcards over the summer just to say hi and introduce myself as their teacher. I still get butterflies and can't sleep the night before the first day of school because I know I'm about to spend the year making memories with these little ones. I'm passionate about helping our district's youngest learners as they transition to our small school with our most caring staff. We grow together as learners, but there's so much more. There's so much more to KCSD aside from a budget deficit and low test scores. You, the board members of KCSD, are missing some of the good things that are happening in our schools. Today, I come before you not just as an educator, but as a voice for my colleagues and students who achieve remarkable feats every day within the walls of our school. It's disheartening to observe that our recent discussions have been saturated with concerns about budget deficits and low test scores. While these are valid concerns that merit attention, they paint an incomplete and unfairly bleak picture of our school's landscape. We're modeling essential behaviors as we stress being kind, helping our friends, families, and even strangers. Every day, I witness extraordinary examples of learning, resilience, and innovation that go unnoticed. For example, over the past month, my class patiently waited 21 days for our chicken eggs to hatch so we could continue our study of chickens. Not only did they investigate the chick's life cycle, write about the process, practice their measuring skills using various tools to measure the chick's growth, but my students learned how to care for the chicks. My 5- and 6-year-old students succeeded in raising chicks from egg to chick, leading each other through the process. These types of achievements seldom make it to our school board discussions. I've watched my students grow not just academically, but as human beings. We said goodbye to our chicks yesterday as they left to go back to the farm where they will continue to grow and develop, just like my students. When we focus solely on financial shortcomings or standardized test scores, we risk ignoring the broader dimensions of education, the creativity, critical thinking, and character development. These elements are not always measurable by conventional metrics, but are crucial for the holistic development of our students. Moreover, this singular focus can demoralize the very people who are at the heart of our educational system, our students and teachers. It paints an unjust narrative of failure that permeates our classrooms, affecting morale and stifling innovation. How are we to inspire our students to strive for excellence when their best efforts go unrecognized by those in leadership positions? I urge the board to consider adopting a more balanced approach to how we evaluate and discuss our school's performance. Let's create a space at these meetings and beyond to celebrate the successes and innovative projects that define the spirit of our school. Let's provide equal weight to qualitative achievements as we do to quantitative metrics. In conclusion, while we certainly should not disregard our challenges, let us also uplift the victories, small and large, that happen every day at Liberty Curtin and every school in our district. By doing so, we are not only going to enrich our understanding and appreciation of our school's contributions, but also empower and motivate our educators and students to reach even higher. Let's balance our ledger, not just financially, but emotionally and educationally as well. I invite you into my classroom at Liberty Curtin to see the real deal. You will be greeted by some of our community's future leaders. Thank you for your attention and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you, Mrs. Rainey. That's my daughter's teacher. Very proud to have her. Very proud to have her as my daughter's teacher. She's wonderful with the kids. The kids are all doing great there. But I want to say that her getting up there and talking says a lot. You know, when was the last time we had teachers come up here and just talk to us? It's been forever, right? I mean, we've always had this stigma. Teachers can't talk. Teachers can't talk. They'll have a target on their back. So thank you, Suzanne, for stepping up, for talking, for representing Liberty Curtin very well. I think that's important for everyone to note that we are making changes here in this entire district.
Thank you, Polly. Nothing else. We're going to move to committee reports. Facility first. Jeff?
Okay, thank you. We met on the 23rd as a committee, the facilities committee, and we had several items on the agenda for discussion that day. First of all, you'll see later on in the agenda, there is a change order for the soil removal. That is not a new change order. That is part of the one we had already approved. There was, however, a clerical error in that amount that we had approved earlier. And so it was $1,224.11 off. So we have to do a further approval. That'll be, as I said, it'll be, I think, item K8 on your agenda. It is not a new change order. It's just one that is additional because of a mistake that was made in the way it was transcribed onto the agenda last time. Second item we talked about was the Bucktail, Bucktail high wall repair. There's mortar that's falling out of the high wall above the gym and up at Bucktail, and it appears to be leaning backwards. We discussed this, excuse me, with Mr. Masella. He said that we really, it's kind of definitely a safety issue, because there are students that walk near that area. Several committee members discussed it, asked Rob if there were any other ways that we could do it that would be a little less expensive. I believe, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think the total cost for the repair was like, I believe 80,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. Is that right, Rob? Okay, so it was in the mid 80s for the repair. We asked, there were a couple of suggestions to maybe wrap it with metal or whatever. So it came down, there was no real decision or recommendation made. We asked Mr. Pasella to go back and maybe see if there was any other options that might be used. We moved on to the 10-year plan review. The 10-year plan we have been working from for the last 2 or 3 years anyway, which has been, Dr. Redmond went back and reviewed it with the building administrators. And we went over it. There are a number of, all of the buildings, principals and so on have prioritized items that they felt needed to be addressed in a priority manner. There were several items that were discussed by the different members, some things that were like the restroom hand dryers, the middle school tennis courts, the additional parking, expanding lots and so on. A lot of these things were either out in the out years. We don't, as you'll hear in the financial reports here from the Finance Committee, we don't have a whole lot of money to work with this year. Not that we don't have any, but so we really have to prioritize the most important things. And I think that's what we came to the conclusion as we finished the discussion on different things in the 10-year plan. We're going to continue to review it at the next meeting. Mr. Basella brought it to our attention that we have some fuel tanks. There are 2 above ground fuel tanks that are no longer being used, and there's 1 underground. They did have oil in, now they are all empty. And I think we need to make some decisions as to what we want to do, especially with the underground tank. And I guess Rob's going to find us a little bit more information about that for next time. Next item was the middle school canopy. That is another safety issue. It has been there for many, many years. It is in pretty bad shape. It does need to be replaced or at least taken down. And we had a rather lengthy discussion as to what we want to do. Crabtree Architects gave us a design, some different variations on a design for a canopy. There were some discussions whether, we want to replace the canopy, whether we wanted to go a different direction and not do anything along those lines. So we're, I guess, going to, at least at this point, just look at taking it down and then continue and make a final decision on what we want to do from there. But the other item that we discussed was the bleachers in the district were inspected recently, and most of them passed inspection. However, the ones over at the middle school at McGill Field did not. They have been there for a number of years. And so we have to look at what we want to do with that. We kicked around some ideas about maybe just taking them down, which we probably will do, and moving all those the other activities that are on that field, Pee Wee football, and I think some junior high and football games are also on there, moving them over to the field on where the track is, and just not use the McGill Field because it is more ADA compliant because of the way that it's situated over near the track. So I think that's probably the direction that we're looking at for that. And I do believe that was it as far as the items go.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, since I couldn't ask a question at the meeting, I want to ask it now. When we put out bids and stuff, are we going with just one certain company, one bid, or are we getting bids, multiple bids to look at? Especially like doing the thing at the middle school and the bleachers and that. Can we get multiple bids so we can get the best bang for the buck, or are you using a CoStarz agreement?
I think
that the easiest way to answer that is we look at it on project by project. If we can if it makes sense to do it out of job order contracting through Gordian, we'll do it that way. Sometimes, like what you're saying on the bleachers, Mr. Redmond, Dr. Redmond and myself had that discussion yesterday, or today. Sometimes when we're doing some like tear downs and stuff, book pricing, we know historically is a little higher in the book pricing through the JOC. So that'd be something that we'll more than likely put out for an RFP for some bids. Because we think we can get a lower number, and it doesn't require an engineer. It doesn't require, it's demolition. So we don't have to have something to put the RFP out. We don't have to get a bunch of other paperwork and have to have an engineer involved where the job order contracting takes care of some of that. So we kind of weigh it out on a case by case basis.
The reason I'm asking is I had 2 local contractors that asked what could they do to maybe get in the bidding process, because they pay taxes here and they'd like to know what they could do to maybe get some of the work.
Well, I would encourage them to look into the stuff with CoStars, look into the stuff with job order contracting, because that's really the way the Commonwealth has pushed a lot of state agencies to do. Tom probably knows when he sees stuff at PennDOT and those things, they all have to use the systems that the state uses. And so we don't always have that opportunity when we can put stuff out to bid, when it's going to be more cost effective to put it out to bid. We generally look at that. So we kind of go back and forth with that. But we compared a bunch when we did Bucktail's major renovation work up there. Because we actually had it out through the job order contracting, and then we ultimately ended up hiring an architect and paying the engineering fees. And when we compared those 2 numbers, the book price versus the bid price were nearly the same. But I also get the same questions that you do from local contractors through the economic partnership and all that. And whenever possible, we try and involve local contractors. And whenever possible, if we're doing anything through the JOC program, when there's somebody has already won the JOC bid through the state, but then they can solicit to multiple contractors to do the work if they're not going to self-perform it. And we always make the recommendation to pick somebody that's within our economic partnership group and those sorts of things. So they try and look and bring in local contractors where possible.
All right, thank you.
So,
Thank you. Nothing else? Let's move on to facility or finance. I'm sorry.
Well, Finance Committee met same afternoon on the 23rd, and we had a relatively short agenda. And of course, at this time of year, the main topic is the budget update from Joni McIntyre, our business manager. She reported that the governor's budget proposal showed an increase in the basic education funding of almost $450,000 and an increase in the special ed funding of almost $120,000. Of course, as you've seen in her presentations in the last several months, that that the notable expenses are, of course, our grant. And one good piece of news about the grant match that we have, that we had set for the $2 million, it's now been reduced, the match reduced to $1.4 million. And the other notable things, of course, are the Liberty Curtain bond obligation, of course, the 18% health insurance increase, and of course, the my favorite topic, the charter cyber school tuition that we are paying every year. And so her recommendations to reduce the expenses, eliminate the, she's proposed that we eliminate the transfer of $600,000 to the capital reserve. And of course, we have staff attrition through resignations, retirements, and we want to, of course, we have to hit the budgetary reserve and decrease some of the district-wide software, and we save some money there. And as you'll see, the recommendation from they were asking the finance committee to make the recommended 3.55% tax increase for 24-25 in the proposed budget that will be, excuse me, voting on next week. The only other item that we talked about was you'll also see later in the agenda was the giving authorization to Dr. Redmond and to Joni for being able to sign off on all the documents and agreements between the district and the Commonwealth Finance Authority to facilitate this and assist with the public school facility improvement grant. And that was pretty much it.
Questions? Next we'll have security, safety and security.
Okay, we met on Friday, April 19th. We had a really good discussion. There's a lot of tabletop exercises planned for throughout the summer and different things that we don't want to totally get into, but a lot of safety and security and some after the fact things to go out. If buses get detailed somewhere and held up, how to reroute them if because of an incident somewhere. There's a lot going on there. We got Randy Zangara, Dr. Randy Zangara was obtained a $45,000 PCCD grant to be used for 15 new radios and antennas at Liberty Curtin, Mill Hall, and Woodward. We're going to go with Kenmore radios. They're more in our price range. There was a discussion about metal detectors at the doors. I guess Ms. Donahue said that there used to be when she came to school. We didn't know what happened to them. We were talking about would that be something effective to put into place. They're doing lockdown drills and fire drills on a regular basis. And Dr. Randy Zangara announced that we are down 2,065 school incidents reports this year compared to the same time last year. The district is down 1,700 alone from the middle school and the high school. So there's obviously some things are working. We're not perfect yet, but it's a step in the right direction. We discussed the PSSI training in Mechanicsburg that Dr. Zangara and myself went to. That was a really good conference to go to. We both feel we learned a lot. And there was a fellow there named John Halligan that discussed his son who eventually ended up committing suicide just from bullying. And we talked about maybe getting him to come up here and put on a little conference for the teachers, parents, everybody. And we're looking into that. And that's really about it.
Any questions? All right.
Those, are you gonna spend all $45,000 on 15 radios?
Yeah.
$3,000 radio?
Oh, yeah. And that's the cheap ones.
So that's relatively inexpensive.
That's
okay.
Those
I
are the
mean,
cheap ones. Because the county is upgrading their whole system. And what they have now is becoming obsolete. So you have to step them up a bit. We
it's
have
been a
some
while
that are-
since I bought mine, but it was nowhere near that.
We have ones
That's
in
the
our
only
fire
reason I
company
asked.
that are upwards of $6,000 to $8,000.
Okay, moving right along. Treasurer's report. Any questions on the treasurer's report?
Yes. I got
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
On page 2, it had 3 listings for staying at a Days Inn. One that
That's a
says
treasurer's
was,
report. That's bills for payment. That's not treasurer's report.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was in the wrong spot, yeah.
Okay. No questions on the treasurer's report, financial report? Any questions on the financial report? Enrollment report. Any questions on the enrollment? Next up, H, under the board, appointment of voting delegates to PSBA. We're able to send up to 3 delegates to a hybrid conference, either at Mechanicsburg or via Zoom. It appears that Ms. Lynch, Mr. Scaff, and Dr. Baldino has graciously volunteered to represent us. It's something we do every year. So, any discussion on that? Board treasurer appointment. Every year we have to delegate a board treasurer. It's usually business manager. Any questions on appointing Joni as the board treasurer? Resolution 149, the post-budget school board. Basically what that is a resolution we're sending to Harrisburg, reminding them the Commonwealth Court found that our current system for funding public schools is unconstitutional and asking them to live up to their obligations as defined by the court. Any questions on resolution 149? Kingsbury 2024-25 service compensation agreement. This is a contract we have had for quite a while with Kingsbury to help us with our special education litigation and labor, I believe is the other one. Any questions on that contract? Okay. Under I, policies, we have a bunch, 17 it looks like, for first reads. Any questions on any of the policies?
We've gone through them pretty viciously.
Any questions on any of them? Under J, minutes. Questions on any of the minutes we had presented?
It's very minor.
Go ahead, Doctor.
In the minutes about the discussions for the concussion management, it was listed as a neurology surgeon. The proper term should either be neurological surgeon or neurosurgeon. Very minor, typographical.
That's it? Yep. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions on the minutes? Next up, K, business, bill for payment. Chris?
On page 2, there was 3 entries for the days in. 2 of them were for $122.20 a piece, and 1 of them was for $608.32. That one didn't have a name on it, but the other 2 did. And I was just curious why the difference, because it was all the same time, same day.
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. And down on page 11, we had a line for Liberty Mutual Insurance, a legal settlement for $12,176.47. Do we know what that was about? It says property auto liability.
Chrissy, do you have any idea?
$12,176.47.
All right, I was just curious. Okay. Was it?
Any other questions? Okay. Next, proposed general fund budget. Any questions on the proposed budget? Questions by anyone? And you see, it's been recommended that we do the 3.55 tax increase.
Yes.
Any questions on any of that?
With Joni's not here, I don't believe.
She is not here. She couldn't be here tonight.
Okay. when we had our financial meeting, she had closed some accounts out to be able to get our losses down. Not
So,
our
to
losses.
reduce our expenditures.
Reduce
yes.
our expenditures, but isn't that kind of like just playing a shell game? Because all those accounts she wiped out, how are we gonna replenish them?
We're not going to.
We're not going to. Okay. That's all I needed to know.
Any other questions? K3, lunch prices. We do provide free lunch and breakfast to our students. This is basically prices for the adults that eat, so I would assume teachers or whoever volunteers in school. There's a price for that.
Excuse me, President.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone again for continually offering the free lunch program, all the people involved. And I'm just sort of curious, I don't remember why we charge 60 cents for milk. And I know it was explained a long time ago, but there's a reimbursement or something, but the kids don't have, they still get milk, right?
Yeah, so kids are free. These prices are all for the adults.
That's okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much. This was great news.
Are we gonna be able to keep the free lunches and breakfast for next year as well?
Yes, as long as the community eligibility program is available to us through the state, then we will continue to offer that.
Any other questions? 4, authorize official resolution for the KCSD grant. It's just allowing, excuse me, Dr. Redmond and Joni to fill out the paperwork, I believe.
Sorry.
Okay. Any questions on that? Next up, Keystone Security Technology. That's just a current contract that we've had. We're just replenishing. I think the next couple are just current contracts that we've had. We're just renewing for additional years. Any questions on the Keystone Security Technology contract? Prize Fire Protection contract. Any questions on that? Beacon Light Behavioral Services. Now moving on. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I just please refresh my memory. This is we had a contract with them current year, and this is just basically, we were just renewing the same contract, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's it.
Anything else? Next up is the Liberty Curtain change order, the storm remover. As Jeff said, we've already approved this. The numbers were just transposed incorrectly when they moved it onto the agenda from what the costs actually were. Any questions on that? Automated logic contract. Any questions on that? Integrate Tech. Any questions? The technology mobile device management contract. Any questions on that?
These are all ones that we already have.
We already have, yes.
going.
This one's a little bit different. So on this one, we're looking at changing changing the contract provider from Jamf to Mosul. And by making that change, we're seeing a significant savings in the cost for providing that service.
Okay, that's what I thought when I read it.
Absolutely.
It's like $10,337.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions? PRFSD bid participation agreement. Any questions on that? I think it just allows us to use a co-op to bid food prices and trying everything we can to save money. UPMC PT contract. Questions on that contract?
Is that for a therapist to be on staff here?
I don't believe so. I believe that's contracted services when we need a pediatric therapist.
Okay.
We can do that.
Plug them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next up, we have a donation. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go
Do we
ahead.
have a physical therapist, like full-time?
We have PT, yes, physical therapists on staff that we use to help provide services for our students with IEPs.
Okay, so. All right, I mean, I don't know how often you should need one that specializes in kids. You know, just, I don't see where there's a big difference for most
We-
of the things.
If
know.
you'd like, we can have Dr. Barnhart speak in a little more detail to that.
Physical therapy is all contracted. We don't have our own physical therapy staff. We previously would contract with IU10, but we ran into a lot of staffing issues. They were not able to provide staff for us, and a lot of times it was the week before school. So we were scrambling. That's really what happened to us last school year. So we reached out to UPMC. We've had a successful year with them for physical therapy, so we would like to stay with them for next school year. We do have occupational therapists on staff. So we have a certified licensed occupational therapist and 2 CODAs. So they are district employees. PT just looks a little different.
Okay. I was just concerned. My question was simply about, it seemed like we were talking about a pediatric physical therapy, like, do we really need that degree of specialization?
Yep.
I
So it's
could think,
physical therapy for students to access the building if they need it. It's all educational. And the component that is important is that these folks are also able to evaluate and write the special education documents that we require.
Any other questions? No? Thank you. Next up, 14, we have a donation of an Insta Alert sign from the All Traffic Solution valued at $1,200. Well, I understand that's used at graduation. The company's just going to give it to us after graduation.
Yes.
So, any questions on that? Next, we have a donation of 3 snack vending machines that are currently owned by an outside vendor, and he's no longer going to service them or fill them. He's going to give them to us and let us take care of them.
President Butch?
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, these vending machines that then, if we accept them, then we have to pay for the maintenance and everything for them? And are we allowed to fill it with anything the administration and the principals want to put in there? I mean, I'll be honest with you, right now I'm not really excited about it. So maybe I just don't understand it well.
So we have 3 vending machines that are in the staff areas here in the administration and then in the middle school, if I remember correctly. And our plan is to have the principals of the 2 buildings work to try to have those as revenue generating.
Sure, the Pepsi
for
Fund.
student groups to help support, kind of like we do with Coke Fund, but we're
Coke Fund, that's it, yes.
Yeah. We're working on the details, but that's our plan with those.
Okay, all right, so they're excited. Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? The road sprinkler system. It's just inspection at the high school and middle school, I believe. No, Rob, let's see. I can't forget Rob. Any questions on those? Library weeding report. The Woodward Elementary, this is something the librarians do periodically. They go through and try to just weed out the books that are no longer being used or no longer relevant, and they dispose of them either by donation or sending them somewhere. So, any questions on that?
I did have a question on that, and I guess you kind of answered it. I just want to make sure. So the person who decides what is in the library, what's taken out of the library, that's the librarian for that school?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Any other questions? L1, personnel. Any questions? Anything under personnel?
Yes, Chair Butch, President Butch.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Sorry, now I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I should request an executive session following this meeting, or if it should be discussed right now, and I'm personally feeling it should be an executive session, but if you would like me to go ahead and ask the question, I will. But it is a personnel issue.
Perhaps, Elizabeth, if you were to, after the meeting, send an email or call either me or Butch, we can figure out whether or not to bring that up in open session next meeting or an executive session.
Well, I appreciate that, but I just feel that
You
this
have
sort
us
of,
stuck, Elizabeth. We can't decide if it could be open or executive without knowing what you're talking about.
okay,
And you
okay.
don't bring
I
it
can
up, we
say
don't know what you're
this.
talking about.
Okay, I can say this. I'm blindsided with the administrative retirements of Rob Priscilla and Rhonda Phillips. This is absolutely new news to me. I know nothing about it. I would like the whole board to have equal information and to understand what's going on here. And we need to do some planning. So
I can speak to that if you'd like. So later on the agenda, you see that we're asking the board to approve an MOU with our Act 93 group for an early retirement incentive. We've spoken to the board on several occasions about this. And so the retirement for those two people is based off of the early retirement incentive for the Act 93.
If we pass it.
If you pass it.
Yep.
Mhm.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ronan. It's very helpful. So that would be really great. So if the board could get together at some point, and we need to, we're got the Liberty Curtain thing going. So looking forward to those discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the personnel? Next, we have 3 different job descriptions, basically: technology curriculum innovation secretary, administrative assistant to the superintendent, assistant superintendent, communications and school board secretary, and administrative liaison for safety, compliance, and virtual school. These are not new positions. Correct. It's just redefining the job specifications of what these people are currently doing and giving them a new title, I guess. So they're not new positions that we have to stress. I'm trying not to look up. Okay, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure. Tracy Long, you're still going to be our board secretary, correct?
That is,
No.
yeah, that's one of the shifts that we're looking at making.
No? Well, again, I'm blindsided. I know nothing about this. Any other board members know about this?
Did you read it?
I read it, but
It was
I
on the
don't-
agenda.
Yeah.
No, I have it right here. So
And again, it's part of something that I have discussed with the board before about the shifts that we're making in central office. And I did speak specifically to that point.
So Tracy Long is no longer going to be the board secretary?
It's all contingent if we pass this or not. When we pass this resolution or this job description, there'll be some changes made in the current jobs, yes.
Well, okay. All right, is Tracy Long going to be our board secretary or not? I'm blindsided. I am completely in the dark.
She just
about
said
it.
no.
It's
So is she
recommended
gonna
by
be
administration.
with us?
And as we've talked in the past, there's going to be some realignment of jobs. One of those realignment is the board secretary.
Okay, so I'm the only board member that has no information about this. That's very upsetting. So when are we going to be updated on what the plan is before we vote on anything? So we have the big picture, we understand what's happening. When's that gonna happen?
Yeah, so Elizabeth, because I have mentioned this in previous meetings, perhaps you weren't there, I don't recall exactly. Perhaps you and I should meet and I can talk you through the change that we're making. Maybe that would be the most efficient way to do that. And we can do that before the next board meeting.
That would be helpful, but again, am I the only board member that didn't know about this? Is there any other board member that didn't know about this?
I knew we were making changes and swapping things around. We discussed it at the
Exactly.
retreat.
Yes,
But-
it's been discussed.
Yeah, we've talked about it multiple times, but no names have been said who's moving where.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
But we've talked about a major realignments to make things smoother.
Well, I would like it if all the board members were together And we
As
were,
we talked, Elizabeth, as we
Yes.
discussed, we've talked about it numerous times. I think you weren't there the last time we discussed it, that during our board retreat. We've talked about realigning positions because we're trying to reduce staff. By reducing staff, we have to assign other people different responsibilities. This is all part of the grand scheme to try to reduce our staffing level.
sure, and that's a wonderful thing. It's deeply appreciated by everyone, but what I'm asking is, can we have a meeting so all of the board members and the, superintendent, we're all in the same room and we know exactly what this plan is before we vote on anything?
I would
All on
suggest,
the same page.
I would suggest you contact either myself or Dr. Redmond, and we'll set up a date and sit down and discuss this with you, because apparently the rest of us know about it, that you don't. So maybe the meeting you weren't at, you missed it. So if you'd like to contact one of us, we'll set up a meeting and go from there.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll call you or email you, Dr. Redmond. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions on those moves? Under M, curricular, co-curricular athletics, any questions on the athletics? And negotiations, that's where we have the MOU, the Act 93 early retirement incentive. Basically, it's the same early retirement incentive we offered to the Teachers Association. Any questions on that?
We're offering that across the board now?
No, just the Act
Act
93.
93.
Just the Act 9, okay.
Any questions on that?
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
I beat you.
Okay, I second his.
beat you.
Before we adjourn, I was negligent, I forgot to announce that prior to tonight's meeting, we had an executive session from 5:30 to 6:31 to discuss a legal issue. Now you can do your
I make the motion that we adjourn.
I second it.
Thank you very much.